listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
Alright, we wanted to talk about debugging and integration. Let's look at our integration in CIF. Since the data are gone, let's have a look at this integration. This is AI based. Let's look at integration that is having errors. Integration events. They completed with errors and failed. Let's check it from February 1st. Let's have a look at this as to what's going on with this integration. And let's see if we can fix this one. This is the integration system. Let's open this in a new tab and let's look at the error. Our problem was detected with a launch configuration and following an experiment has launched. Launch period last successful movement is not available in the launch configuration initial data. Now let's try to attempt. How do we fix this? We would relaunch the integration. If I look at the integrations, it's using core connector worker. Before I jump on the parameters and try to look at the errors, I would like to do a sanity check on the integration. I would like, because this is not an integration that I created, something that we are just trying to see. It's somebody else's work. I'm trying to see all the services that are enabled, like the worker photo personal status. Integration attributes. The output file name is blank. It might be for the default value for output file names. That is blank. That is one, maybe an issue that I see that this is blank. But let's see. Address type is work. Include private address is no. Phone type is work. Email type is work. The basic things look. On the attributes, let's look at the parameter for the integration maps. There's no mapping here. All the default values are going out. That is fine. Now I would like to look at the launch parameter or the field eligibility criteria. I'll go to the field overrides. And I need to see a defined eligibility. Here you see that the eligibility criteria is blank. This could be one of the issue, right? But let's keep it as blank and let's look at the error that we get and let's try to address it with this way. Alright, you mentioned this that you know the launch parameter should be updated. As of entry moment, effective date and say last successful is not there. Let's make 22/31/01. And last successful effective date, we have to select the file. And do I want any workers restricted by file, full file? As we are trying to pull the change file. I'm not going to select the full file. And in fact, let's keep it short. Let's sort till 1. The data is not too much. I don't need to put the last completed date, last effective date. Now you see that those errors has gone away that we saw earlier. The earlier there was integration, launch configuration, and the last parameter, successful launch movement, is not available. If you look at the current one now, we are having the error for eligibility criteria and integration defined eligibility, which we saw that it was not there. Let's go to the integration system. Let's set up our eligibility. Let's say country. It has to be a true or false condition. Let's say UA. Active company GMS USA, or I think this is the one that we created. If I look at the value, true, false condition company is either Canada or US and the active employee status needs to be active. Let's select that. Say domain value. And the port router top level effective moment. Let's put it as current. Alright, let's try to read on this. At first go we had these two letters. On the second go we had this error. Let's try to relaunch it again. And as you're talking, say if I put a full file that I don't need the last successful entry movement. Last successful effective date. If we run the full files currently, we are not selecting the full file. It means it will only detect the changes between 11/3/2023 and current moment. and I would like to generally put the effective date at the end of the month. Let's put April. Well, this is running. It might take a few minutes. I hope this answers the question as to how you would go around troubleshooting an existing integration that we did not create it. We just picked it up from the integration event that it failed. We found out the issue, we look at the errors, and then we follow the error fail. We figure out what seems to be the issue. I would not 100% agree with that. They're web services only used for input. A web service can be used for input or output or bidirectional. Whenever you give an integration permissions, you always give the GET and PUT permission. GET is the output or out of Workday and PUT is into Workday. Like we discussed in the earlier classes, like if you want to update the email address, if you want to hire people in bulk, if you want to create job rec in bulk, if you want to, assign compensation plans in bulk or change job in bulk or terminations in bulk, you can do it by EIBs. Currently, this integration has completed. If you look at the output files, you have our data changes audit and we have our output XL. Output XML is a default file name and there's no output file name defined. And if I look at the data changes audit, there are 39 people included the time frame and the changes. What was the prior value? What is the current value? And if there's a change, it will be in yellow. In addition, it would be yellow. If there's, I think it changes in yellow. If it's a new value, then it will be green in your diagnostic data changes audit. So, the color codes would help you define. Let's expand all. We have yellow, we have red. It was prior was 0 and now it's nil. And this was nil and now it's 0. You see the color codes in your diagnostic or data changes audit for a change file. You'll have this for reference. It will give you an idea as to what is going on with each employee. And of course, in the XML, you'll have your output file in your XML format. Alright, while this is downloading, let's look at our EIB. Your ingress into Workday for your data that you're trying to change has to be based on a purpose that you're trying to solve. Here's your XML file of 39 workers. The full file is false. Retention document is 30 days and all the worker details are right here. When you're trying to import data or ingress into Workday or put into Workday your data, it has to be for a particular use. For example, we created an EIB for contact changes. You can have an EIB for hire. Let's look at it. A hire. In fact, let's follow the same path that we did before. Those are the tabs to the right. I'm going to take all these, but I'm going to look at the successful completed warnings. Alright, this is why. That's what we're trying to do. Let's open this in a new tab. And I'm going to open the integration system as well. The integration system is for hire. It is using the web service. The delivery method is Workday Web Service Operation. It's using the hire employee web service. In order to use this, it would use a template for your web service operation. And if I go to the model and say view, let me just download the template. This is a model of the template it's going to use to load the data in Mount or ingress into Workday. Hi Employee is the web service that is going to use the columns like the spreadsheet key, the applicant, the former worker, the student, ID academic. I will show you the sample as well. These are all the fields it's going to use to perform the hire into Workday. And if you look at here, this is how your EIB is populated. These are your spreadsheet key, which should be your job as well. Some of the EIBs, like the hire EIB, does not support generation of a template with data, existing data from Workday. But some of the EIBs does support that. But most probably for hire, you will not be able to generate the template model. Like if I go to data here and template generation with data is not supported, but some of the EIBs would support temporary generation with data. And there you can have sample values from Workday. But in this case, you would not be able to have the sample value. But these would be very easy to find. Like what is the applicant ID or your pre-hired ID? What is the position you want to hire them? What is the supervisor organization's ID? The hire date, your employee hire reason, employee type, job profiles, location ID, default hours, schedule hours, and on. These would be your values that you're going to put on the hire side. Then you have your proposed compensations, all the compensation details. If you're going to use the XML, you can. For example, if I go here, template model, again generate spreadsheet template, I can select the XML model or the version. But if you're thinking that you will get all the sample data, for example, what needs to go where, that would not be included, even the XML. Once you upload the data, that is the time you will get your integration response from Workday, even in validation mode. For example, if I open this with a web browser while this is loading, whenever you apply or upload the populated data set, either in XM or either in XLS, however you're comfortable with, and when you load the data, you will get your responses that you know. 6 messages has total records, has passed, total failed, and what was the execution summary. You have the option of validation load before you actually load into Workday. When you load the data into Workday via the app, you're using the AAP web service model for your bulk load. You will get your responses from Workday. At this moment, it got successful. All records were loaded successfully. If there was an error and it was in validation mode, you would get the notation that it was in validation mode and all records have loaded either successfully or these were the errors that you found. This is, if you're trying to look for it, the same format that we see here, one that we're using here for XLS, the Excel format. You can see it here in XML format as well. You're able to load data here as well directly in XML and save it. If you're comfortable with this, for example, if I open the integration events, let's say failed, or let's go here, let's look at the failure message. This one, and let's look at the failure delivery test document delivery. This as well. Here, I think this is the same failure that we were looking at before. We already saw the messages right here. But if you're using the integration or Cloud Studio, you can manage these errors there as well. Let's look at the number of errors here. This is Workday exception. It asks us about authorized or unexpected failure. The first is the authorization, then it is the unexpected failure. It could not retrieve the documents, whatever this integration was doing. The terminating job failed. You have your authorization. Error on retrieval of the document. And if you look at the messages, you will see the critical errors, the warning, and on. If you look at the child processes, it shows you where the errors happen. Now let's see if this allows us to generate with data. Now you see generate template with data. I need to create a rule here. If I go to edit template with data option, say condition rule filter, and say worker. Let's say employee D. Sorry, this is not about worker. This is a location, location country. Returns location for this object. And let's say in selection list or equal to. I'm selecting two locations. I created a rule. Let's see what I get in the test. I can test my rule as well. Test condition rule filter. I'm getting these two locations. What I can do is now I can generate the template model with data included from Workday that is already there. Let's go to template model, generate spreadsheet template. Say XLS and I select generate data spreadsheet with data. I submit it. Again, all the web service does not allow us to do that we can generate the template with data, but most of them do. If I look at the output, the template model should have data for USA, Home Office, and London. Here you can see for spreadsheet key 1, these are all values for London, and spreadsheet key 2 are all values for USA. And if you go further, you will see different values that are available in the system. It doesn't mean that you need to use all these values, but depending on what value you want to use, you can use this as a reference. ID as a base map. And of course, your phone numbers or your city or your value address, and they all can be changed or And you can use this as base value or reference values as to what is available. The reference value that you need to find in Workday. You use a task called view reference. ID, and then you select the business object. Say in this case, we're looking at location. If I click on location, it will give me the list of all locations with its reference IDs. It's the San Francisco. The reference ID is San Francisco. We won't use this object instance, but we'll use a reference ID for you. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@upptalk.com.